Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Convicts and Cops. In this episode, I have a special person from my life, from my past. Never thought that this would happen. We were brought together by a mutual acquaintance who told me about his existence. And I say his existence, I want to welcome Raphael LaValle. I knew him as Lito from the Avenues. Lito today is a pastor. He's a man of God. He represents the Lord. And because of my current status, I explained to Lito that my this get together here was going to be a one-time thing. He understands that. And it just this is for the edification of the viewer. And also, it was great to see you, Lito. So, without further ado, I want to say I love you, and that's something that the first thing you told me. And how does it feel?
I can't explain the feelings. I've been wanting to see you and talk with you. I'll give a little background. Me and you were in gladiator school in Soledad, and we got into some things. They sent us to San Quentin. We're in San Quentin together, and we lost contact. He went his way. I went my way. I started going to church.
Yeah.
And I was an atheist. I didn't believe in God.
Right. Now we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
And you were born. You're a couple years older than me, Lito, and you were born in Lincoln Heights.
I was East LA.
In East LA.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you eventually talk about your growing up, and how did you eventually become a member of the Avenues?
Okay, I grew up in Northeast LA, and I was going to Nightingale Junior High School. They had like 7 gangs there, and you had to belong to a gang, or they would take away your lunch if you had one. Back then, we didn't have no lunch, and you get a beat down every day if you didn't belong to a gang. And so I got into Clover.
East Side Clover.
East Side Clover.
Ooh.
And then my family moved to the Avenues. And I started going to school over there, and I had to run home from school every day. But the dudes from Clover never went to go back me up. I mean, they're still camaradas, you know what I mean?
Right.
And they never went. And finally, I just got into the Avenues.
Let me test your memory.
Okay.
Can you see how many of those gangs you can name?
Temple, Diamond Street, Alpine, Doaktown, Avenues, and Clover.
How about Happy Valley?
No, that was at Lincoln. I went to Lincoln.
Lincoln. Yeah.
Happy
yeah.
Valley Hazard was there.
Uh-huh.
And El Sereno.
Yeah. Where were you born?
In Los Angeles, East LA.
Do you remember what hospital?
Yeah, I think it's Queen of Angels. It was a Catholic one in East LA.
Okay. I just took a shot in the dark there because a lot of us were born in the General Hospital.
Yeah.
On Marengo. You probably know a lot of guys that were.
Yeah, I was in General Hospital a couple of times.
Now, some of the mutual characters, I'm not going to take this chronologically, but some of the mutual guys from the Avenues, the guys that you and I knew from back in the day, from doing time, from being state raised, who do you remember from that time frame?
Bruno
Chavez,
Dangerous
Danny Diavila, his beautiful wife, Yvonne.
Yvonne. Man, there's so many that Benny, he was a conexión.
Uh-huh.
And even though I'd go back over there, score, and he'd kick me down. And
Carlos and Rudy Saucedo.
Yeah, Carlos and Rudy Saucedo, Sailor Boy.
Uh-huh.
And just a whole bunch of them. I can't even remember the names now.
Not to be confused with Sailor Boy from Barrio Nuevo.
No,
you guys had a Sailor Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there aren't that many.
No.
Right?
Uh-uh.
I think the Sailor Boy from the Avenues and Sailor Boy from...
Yeah, and he was in Solidad with us. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah. So we... now, when did you start doing time?
I think when I was about 15, I started going to Campos, some of the camps, juvenile camps.
Uh-huh.
And then when I was 16, I went to the senior camps. And then when I was 17, I went to the youth authority. And they sent me to Northern California, the camp up there.
Uh-huh.
But then when I was 18, I got arrested for assaulting a police officer. We broke a police officer's back. I was living in City Terrace. I was running with the homies from City Terrace, and we were having a party, and the sheriffs came in, and I mean, we just went at it, you know, because back then the police would give us a beat down whenever they stopped us.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were angry, and we broke one of their back, and they had just made it a felony to assault a police officer.
Oh, wow.
So at 18, they sent me to state prison for assaulting a police officer.
Yeah.
Ended up in Tracy, then that's where, then Soledad. That's where I met you.
We were
Then
in
San
Soledad
Quentin.
North.
Yeah.
We were both in Unit 2. It's funny because sometimes I get the little memory lapses as well. We were rehashing some of the stuff, and I was telling you how, you know, you get these characters on YouTube that try to find things to talk about, and you know, and sometimes they don't know, or they get the wrong story or whatever. And somebody had said, Mundo ran from this one incident. You know, that we're talking about the incident in Soledad.
I'll say it. We came up against the bikers, and all of us, you know, Spanish, we were little guys.
Yeah.
So they'd have to be like 5 of us against one of them. These guys were huge. And Mundo, he was from the front line. He had a one of them socks.
Soap sock.
Soap socks. It was like a brick.
Yeah.
And he put it in a sock. And when they walked up, Mundo just went boom, hit that guy in the head. He started bleeding. He hit the ground, and we just all went at it. But Mundo just kept going.
Yeah. Well, to give a little backdrop on that, and we did talk about it, they had some BGF guys.
There you go.
It was Alfred Dunn. They called him Eat 'em Up, and a couple other guys were picked up for as suspects for killing Officer Scholl. Officer Scholl, they got him in the equipment room, and this is when a lot of the BGF guys were
Killing guards,
retaliating against prison guards. You're right. And so they got Officer Scholl, and they beat him and stabbed him to death. And so the National Guard was brought in, and what they did in the prison is they brought in these metal detectors, and they took every shank, that any conceivable shank that was on that yard, whether it was buried or not, they went ahead and found them and confiscated them. So we had a confrontation. It was about a dozen biker guys and about a dozen of us. And if you remember, and many of us were from the Latin American culture group. We were part of that. I know Joker from Redondo was one of them. There was
Leo.
It was Leo from Ochentas, right?
Yeah.
And there was Shiner from White Fence, you, Lito. There was Leaky Varela from Salinas. It's funny because a couple of these guys became NF, Leaky and Joker. And then Louis from Flats, Leo from Ochentas, and I think Black from Clover became M.
Yeah.
You know, we joined the other gang, and but at that time, there were a few shanks.
We're one.
So we had to improvise.
Yeah.
So Leo had a broken Jergens jar. He broke it to use the jagged edge. I don't know what you had. I had the soap sock. Used it as a club, and so we all had improvised weapons. So when the guys that were hating on me, and and I love them too. They can hate on me all they want. The guys that were hating on me that said that I ran. No, I know they were saying that I ran. Well, they are right, but I got to explain what happened. Is I was the last guy there. I was beating a guy that was unconscious.
I remember.
Because I was in a zone, and all of a sudden I look, and there's nothing but khaki around me. Because they're all correctional officers, and all the rest of you guys, Shiner and everybody, had already taken off, which is what I should have done. We had already done our damage. It's time to get out of Dodge. So what? I'm in a zone, and when I saw khaki, I swung my sock and threw it at the officers. I turned around and I ran, just like they said. I ran, but it was already, the damage had been done. I ran to Whitney Hall, and according to the write-up, it describes that they apprehended me inside the cell of, I think it was Shiner from White Fence.
Okay.
And I was, he was trying to give me a change of clothes because there was blood on the other clothes to alter the identity. So, I mean, you know, you're a living witness. Not that I care what
Mundo,
anybody thinks.
You were on the front line. You're the one that kicked it off.
Yeah, I know.
You kicked it off, bro. There was nothing. I
Ah,
seen
yeah,
you
yeah.
quitting, Mundo.
Yeah,
I know you, brother.
yeah. No, I know. And it's funny how life, you know, what I remember about you, Lito, is you were a straight up boxer.
Yeah.
You don't teach somebody to stand straight up
Yeah.
when they're in the ring, but you could get away with it because you had that reach.
Danny
You-
Trejo was the one that trained me.
Danny Trejo did?
The actor.
Yeah.
Machete.
Yeah, Machete.
I got
yeah.
to see him too. He's the one that trained me.
Wow.
And the first day he told me get dressed, get in the ring, and he gave me a beat down. And he said, "Get out of here."
Uh-huh.
And the next day I came back and he said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want to learn how to fight." He
Yeah.
said, "Well, get back in there."
Right.
So that was just another.
Well, you know, when you're in the ring,
Yeah.
you want to protect yourself. You know,
Yeah.
shoulders in.
Yeah.
You're kind of like in a crouch.
Yeah.
But you were a straight up fighter.
Okay.
And your reach,
Right.
you used your reach advantage.
Yeah.
To get off first. You know, on your opponents.
Yeah.
That's what I remember about
Okay.
you. You know, you were. You were light skinned dude.
Yeah.
You were pretty. I said,
Yeah.
that's pretty. Lito.
I had to learn how to fight. Because when I got to Tracy, man, I mean, you know, Ray Cabezon.
Chispas?
Yeah,
Oh, no, Ray Cabezon is Chispas' younger brother.
Yeah, okay. He, you know what I mean? He says, "Sabes qué? Nobody's gonna touch this dude."
Uh-huh.
He just backed me up. I don't know why. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
man, I was young, smooth, man, skinny.
They called him Scarface.
Yeah,
He had
that big scar right there, right there.
You know, he got that from Igor from White Fence. Because
Is that
White
who-
Fence and Loyo Maravilla were at each other's throats. You know, and they got into it, and Igor sliced him. He never lost. I mean, he had that
Yeah.
scar, the big scar you're talking about.
Igor socked me up once at Lincoln Park.
Really?
Yeah, back when 59 or 1960.
Oh,
He was a
really?
bully. He used to run around with a dude from Hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, that whole interaction, because
Yeah.
I got arrested for killing a guy from White Fence. And so there were our mortal enemies. See,
Yeah.
White Fence is one of the oldest
Yeah.
street gangs in L.A. And, they did their share of damage, and then, of course, they would catch it as well. But
Yeah.
it's funny because when we get to prison, on the streets we're enemies.
Yeah.
But in prison, we're buddies.
We have our back.
We have
have
each
to.
other's back,
Yeah.
right? That's just the way it works.
Because we were smaller. I mean, the blacks and the whites, they were huge,
Yeah.
man. I was
Yeah.
a little skinny dude after that.
You remember Toe, right? We
Toe,
talked about
yeah,
Toe from White
yeah.
Fence. And we talked about, you were off camera, you were talking about going on a 72-hour furlough.
Yeah.
Because back then, when you were short, when you were
Yeah.
getting ready to get paroled, they would give 72-hour program
Yeah.
or furloughs so you could go out, and the idea was to find a job.
Yeah.
And then that's where when you come back and you tell them you got a job, then it accelerates the parole process.
Mm-hmm.
But what were the guys doing on their 72-hour furlough?
Well, you went and got high, but I came back with 30-something balloons of heroin in my stomach.
Did you keister them or swallow?
No,
them?
you can't keep them because they go up.
Oh yeah.
They check your. I had to swallow, it. And I was 18 when I went to the Pinta. I didn't know all these connections. They sent me to all kinds of connections.
Uh-huh.
And I came back, and every place I went, they had a bunch of people following me, and some people jammed me.
Yeah.
Some people, they tried to take it. I said no, but I had homies that had my back.
So
I mean,
now, can you explain? I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you do. You got all these balloons that you swallowed.
yeah,
And now you got to get them out.
yeah.
So what was the process? What did you do to speed up?
Okay. Well, they give you laxatives. Some of the big, they put me in that Sally with a big homie. They knew
Right.
what he was doing, 'cause I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so he'd put newspaper in the toilet, and I crap, and the balloons would come out.
Yeah.
Some balloons didn't come out too good. Remember Güero from the one that you told me about from Canton?
Little Morgan.
Güero Morgan.
Yeah.
I gave him a bag because he's a camarada, and it had doo-doo in it.
Yeah.
It had caca in it because some of the balloons got.
Do you know what happened? Let me tell you something.
What?
And I don't know if you remember this. He got down and he fixed carga heroin with a little feces, a little caca
That
in
was
it.
mine, yeah.
That was yours.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but he it burned the heck out of him. I don't know how that works. But I know that he was screaming.
Yeah.
He was screaming. He had to go to the hospital. That's Weddle Morgan from the NF.
Yeah.
Because
Gabby was his homie, and me and Gabby ran together.
Lion Gab, that was my cell partner. Yeah.
Gab, yeah.
He was my cell partner. Called him Lion Gab. Man, I love Gabby, man.
Oh,
You told me he had passed.
I got to see him going to church with me.
Wow.
I went to go speak in a church in Wheeler. I was living in Phoenix back then, or New Mexico, and I was an evangelist, and I went to church in East LA, and him and Danny Trejo's sister came in, and I saw him, and man, I mean, he wept like a baby. He asked Jesus into his heart.
Gabby?
Yeah, and we started going to church. He would go every place I went to go to church.
Let me tell you
Yeah.
this. So Gabby, when he was my cell partner in '71, and you were there.
Yeah.
And this was during a time, the 1971 was a cease of hostilities, no pedo, no friction between the NF and the M.
Right.
So Gabby asked me, what are your thoughts about me getting into the Nuestra Familia? Because his homeboy, Weddle Morgan, that we just talked about, Weddle Morgan was NF, and so was Rudy Perez. They called him the Candyman.
I remember him.
Okay, so they were both Nuestra Familia. So now he's thinking, well, these are my homies, and we're not at war with these guys. Because Gabby was raised with all of us.
Yeah.
He was actually, he's a little older than you even, but he was raised with Sailor, with Panzas. They were in youth authority together.
All of them here.
And Huito, he was with them.
Huito from
Eloyo Mara. So all of them guys, we're all state raised together. All the LA guys.
We're going way back.
And even Northern. It wasn't no
There was
north,
no
south.
such thing. We were one.
It was all one. I say even then because today, all that got polarized.
Yeah.
And I was part of that, by the way. But anyway, so Gabby asked my opinion, and I said, listen, you can do whatever you want, brother. He's your homeboy. So's Rudy. And, I can see you want to get in because of them. But this peace is not going to always be this way. Sooner or later, if the shit hits the fan, then you know what happens. You know what time it is.
Yeah.
And I guess he didn't think that the shit would ever hit the fan. And next thing I hear, he's an NF member. So I was celled up with an NFer, right? With a farmer.
Yeah.
I know that's a... And I say that with cariño because
and
back then it wasn't.
They weren't that big. They were all country.
Yeah,
they were country folk, and we're city.
Right.
I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Now they're city because some of the city they got big. You know what I mean? But a lot of the guys from the familia were from L.A.
Yes, at
a
the
whole
beginning.
bunch of them.
Yeah,
in the beginning.
There was no Northern California guy until Black Bob from Gilroy got in. But all the other guys were from either Central California, like Bakersfield, or Chiques, or Santa Barbara, but L.A. because you had Little John from Little Valley, you had Freddie from San Diego, you had Juan Valdez from Basse Grande, Panzas from Little Valley, you had Benito from Eloyo that joined a little later. I mean, you had a lot of LA guys, and there's guys that were raised with us, so to speak. So you had friends that
on both sides.
Both sides. So you didn't look at it like, hey, I'm NF or I'm MA. These are my friends. You just said Weddle Morgan was your friend.
And back then you didn't have to belong.
You didn't have to.
You didn't have to. You could say, hey, I don't want to. As a matter of fact, when they jammed me, I says, I got my voter. I'm from the Avenues.
Right.
Yeah, but you want to get in the clique? I go, I never got in.
No. Most of the LA guys didn't want to get into any clique. They had their own thing. Even my homeboys, when I got there was the VNE guys were all running together with Flappers from Hazard and his guys. Melvin, Flappers, all. It
was a different time.
Different time, and those were all. And then things just happened. They gravitated, and again, just the thing of belonging and who you grew up with and all that. And but that was amazing. Remembering the stuff that we went through, so we were mentioning some of the common names. Toe from White Fence.
I seen him get saved.
Who's that, Toe?
Toe, he became a Christian. I see so many of them guys.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when I got saved, I went to a church and I thought I was in the big yard of San Quentin.
Yeah.
Because there was some big homies there. And back then it was unheard of. This was 1977. You know what I mean? Started going to the junkie church. I didn't believe in God. I thought I was atheist, but I was tired of, I had already been in a mental hospital, therapeutic communities, rehabilitation centers, behavior modification programs, and I couldn't kick that heroin.
Wow.
And I heard about the junkie church. I said, I'm going to go check it out. And guess what?
And then Toe he became a paraplegic. He did an armed robbery and got shot by a Korean merchant.
Yeah.
You don't mess with the Koreans.
Asians, no.
Yeah, they're crazy. And then he tested my heroin. When we got large quantities of heroin, he would test the batch. And I mean, a big favor I did for him, right?
Yeah.
In the wheelchair. And you tell me that you see over there when he
became a Christian. He got saved, and I used to go to his house.
Amazing.
And he was doing good. But before that, we were having a rally at the Montebello Park.
Yeah.
Where we'd preach and music and all that. And he came. He was in the wheelchair.
Wow.
But he was all drunk.
Wow.
He couldn't even. He's trying to get out and all that. And he was like mocking me. You know what I mean? That's all right. I'm.
No.
I used to do the same thing about Christians. They're weak. They're sissies.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. To be a Christian takes a man.
Yeah. No. I mean, you're an example.
Yeah.
Of what God can do to turn a life around. Well, it's they're signaling that it's time for us to conclude. I just want to tell you, brother, it's great to see you. It's been like 50 years.
I've been wanting to see you. I've been watching you. You got my heart, and I love you, brother.
I love you, brother.
Amen.
Great to see you. Amen. Amen, brother.
God bless you.
God bless you.